It's October, which means it's time for another reaction video, because this is what we're doing now on this channel, monthly reaction videos to bad parenting. Would you like that? What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Hi, my name is Carolini. I make videos here on YouTube. This time though, I'm gonna react to a comment that I got in one of my videos reacting to the Regretful Parents Subreddit. I got many interesting comments on those videos, interesting points. I cannot say though that I think now regretting your kids is not reprehensible, but you know, a lot of you guys made me reflect a lot. So thank you for letting me know what you think. To be clear, I don't think people who participate in this subreddit are all bad and lost causes. I have no idea about the struggles that some of these people are going through, and no doubt many of them are suffering. My message here is there are other ways to go about your sufferings. There are ways to mitigate your ill feelings about parenthood and actionable things you can implement in your family life so that you can improve your feelings. And that's why I make videos about this. To say that parenthood is difficult, yes, but that you have agency, right? You can change your situation. You can feel differently about parenthood. Don't believe anyone that tells you that you cannot change your feelings. Feelings are changeable, but you have to put in the work. It's what I'm trying to say all along, but maybe my message wasn't clear. So let's get to the comment. This one person commented something and it made me think. It was fairly interesting. It was fairly, well, this person made some interesting points and I thought I should address them. So I don't want to expose anyone, so I'm going to blur their photo and name. Honestly, you're just wrong about this. It's great that people are expressing their regret about parenthood. This has always existed, but people have either had to suck that feeling up or even take it out on the kid. According to this person, regretting parenthood always existed, and there's only two ways to go about it. You either talk about how much you wanted that your kids did not exist, or you take it out on the kid. What do you think? Do you think that there's nothing else you can do about this if you find yourself regretting your decision to become a parent? Maybe you could figure out what exactly is making you hate your family life and try to improve on that. You know, little improvements here and there can go a long way. So let's say your kid is misbehaving and being really difficult. You can figure out what is triggering their behavior and try to improve that. Maybe it's you. Maybe you are not giving enough attention, but maybe you are always on your phone and they misbehave so they can be seen. So maybe you improve on that. A child misbehaving, especially when they're really small, it's usually something that the parents aren't doing right. Of course, children will misbehave. That's their function in life. They will test your limits, and they have to. And you have to be okay with that. You have to impose limits. You have to find that sweet spot in between being too permissive and not enough permissive. My point is, there are things that you can do. There are things that you can do as a parent to improve your family life. And that is your responsibility. It's not your kid's responsibility. When you reframe regretting parenthood as something that happens to you to regretting parenthood, it's something that I have responsibility over, things change completely. So back to the comment. The problem with repressing these experiences is because it encourages the larger societal cult of parenthood that leads to regretful parents in the first place. We face constant propaganda and social conditioning all our lives, highlighting the necessity of having kids. In some societies, this happens in much more authoritarian and coercive, but it's pretty prevalent everywhere. This is especially forced for women. The consequences of this, we stop here. This is especially forced for women. So if parenthood is a cult and governments and whoever uses parenthood as propaganda, how come the birth rate is dropping everywhere in the world except a handful of places? I think that the birth rate in South Korea is 0.7. You gotta question that if parenthood is really a propaganda machine, especially because this person framed it in a way that you either hate your kids or you are in a cult pretending that you love your kid. Like there's no person that genuinely loves their children. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Loving your family is nothing but propaganda. Like this millennial institution called family is actually a scam to make people, especially women, give birth. Makes you think, right? I don't agree with that. Moving on. Let's move on. The consequence of this enforced cult of motherhood is people just have kids even if they don't want them, or they have never thought seriously about the consequences. I'm sorry, but people will have kids even if they don't want to, or if they have never seriously thought about it, because that's what people do. Do you know how babies are made? People will have kids even if they don't think about it. That happens. The only birth control that is 100% effective is not having sex. So if people will have sex, people will have kids. It's socially unacceptable to talk about how terrible parenthood can be, so we get a totally skewed portrait, which leads to more people having kids who shouldn't have them, or don't end up wanting them. Cutting against this ideology is one part of bettering the situation, and forums like this one help many people make informed decisions before they have kids, or at least normalize, not mythologizing parenthood, is what they say, and giving people an emotional outlet. People have had these feelings about parenthood forever, so it's better to channel the energy than let it fester. Now, I think a lot of people dismiss biology and overemphasize social aspects of things. What I say to that is, have it ever occurred to you that motherhood is natural across species, even across animal classes? It's not just mammals. There are hormones involved, instincts, strong instincts. Did you know that whales mourn their babies when they die? Some dolphin mothers carry around their dead calves on their backs for hours, even days. Are you suggesting that these whales, these dolphins, are part of a big propaganda machine fed to them by the daily whale? That was a joke. That was a lame joke. I'm sorry. No, Mother Nature made it so that we would like to reproduce and take good care of our offspring so that they could live and reproduce as well. That's not to say there aren't other purposes. Humans have created many, many things since then, since like the beginning of times. Civilization, you don't need to reproduce if you don't want to. That's your choice. Do you get what I mean? Like, you can't take biology off of us. We're animals. We are animals. And it's not a surprise, it shouldn't be, that the majority of parents like their kids. They like being parents, they enjoy their kids, they feel great about their existence. They want their kids to grow up and have amazing lives. It's how it was designed to be. Anything different than loving your kid is a little bit dysfunctional. It just is. Or a lot dysfunctional. And I want to say again, that doesn't mean parenthood is the path for everyone. Unlike other creatures, humans have the choice. It doesn't mean either that parenthood is a piece of cake. It's hard AF. And there are many circumstances that make it even harder, like being a single parent, low income, like childcare expenses. None of those are good reasons for not loving little children that didn't ask to be here in the first place. And so what this person is saying is they want equal representation of loving parenthood and hating parenthood in the media or, on the internet. And that made me think, I was like, okay, is our perception of parenthood skewed because more people talk about liking it than not? Is that fair? Made me think, But then I realized, wait a minute, parenthood is not the elections. This is the most primitive instinct in life. If you're seeing more positive accounts of motherhood, it's maybe because moms' brains are filled with copious amount of oxytocin, which makes us love our children very, very much. You can control the outcome of motherhood representation online in the media or wherever. And you also can't take something like reproduction, the reason why we're here having this conversation 3 billion years after the first life appeared on Earth, and say it's a social construct. You can't do that. So, moving on. More importantly, we need much more serious state and societal support for child rearing. States propagandize about how you need to have kids, but then leave you to suffer without any help. So many of the reasons people regret kids or don't do right raising their children is a consequence of no social support. You have to rely on a partner who may leave you or other available family members who may not be there for you to help you raise the child. Childcare can be prohibitively expensive. If the state offered free childcare and other social supports to help take the burden off parents, we could assuage, I don't know this word, I'm sorry, so many serious crises in all parts of our society. If we're going to assume that liking to be a parent is nothing but propaganda, we have to also assume that promoting a child-free life is also propaganda. Take these articles, for example. What do we think about that? Are we worried that promoting this can make people forgo parenthood and later regret it? Or are we assuming that only the reverse is true, that people cannot regret not having children? Because if we are worried with one and not the other, we may be part of the propaganda machine. Now, about welfare, it's a complex issue. I sure want to make a video only about that. I have to say, I'm not totally opposed to welfare, but being a libertarian, I have to say there is no free lunch. Free childcare, it's never free. There's always a cost. So do we want governments to subsidize childcare? Okay, are we prepared to pay a lot of taxes? I also have to talk about unintended consequences, right? I live in a place where not-for-profit organizations, licensed daycares get subsidies. But guess what? Childcare is now cheap. We're paying taxes for it. Make no mistake, but it is cheap. So the demand is higher than ever. There's not enough establishments, so it's taking years to get a spot. Years. You have to enter a wait list right after you leave the hospital with your baby, otherwise you won't get a spot. And you have to join as many waitlists as possible. I'm now finally hearing from some daycares that I was on the wait list for, and my daughter is almost 2. So another unintended consequence is you have to take whatever you get. Even if you don't like the place, you have to take it, because again, the demand is too high for you to say no to a spot. That sucks if you're a parent, and you don't like the place your kid is gonna stay for the best part of the day 5 times a week. Your baby. Some kids are going to these places at 6 months old. So this is critical, and it's a topic that's dear to my heart. Maybe I'll do another video about it, only about this. But all of this to say, we always want the government to take care of difficult problems. But a lot of the times, the government is not very efficient. They don't have our best interests at heart, and their solutions can create even more problems. Or simply put, it's expensive to the taxpayer. And also, all those reasons that this person mentions, they are valid reasons for parenthood being hard today. But again, not valid reasons for not loving your kid. So you have to separate the two things. Moving on, until we move towards a humane system, we just need to encourage people to see having a child in all its aspects, positive and negative, before having any, so we can mitigate the social crisis caused by a broken relationship between the family and society as a whole. So it appears to me that this person thinks everyone that loves their child is a part of a cult and can't be telling the truth. At least not the full truth. And these people are the reason there's a broken relationship between family and society. Loving parents are the reason. Those who deem normal to not love your children, to wish they didn't exist, those who want to abandon their children, they have no responsibility in that broken relationship. See what I mean? And you talk about moving towards a humane system. But is it humane to think your child is nothing but a nuisance? And yeah, I get it. Like, let's be more honest about parenthood and the difficulties and whatever. Sure, let's do that while we love our children. Because again, the fact that things are hard, that doesn't somehow allow you to not like your children. So that's it. So that's why I'm still not convinced that regretting parenthood is a good thing. Thanks for respectfully disagreeing and letting me know your thoughts. That keeps the conversation going and we learn from each other's views, right? So if you made it until here, a massive thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.